Yes, and so I'm Carlos. I would just like to say, well, number one, I think that we should vote for Ron Paul. I don't personally believe in money. I think that money is the promotion of greed, but to each his own. And that's why I want to vote for Ron Paul, because he cares about the world sincerely. He respects others, and he wants to run for president so that he can allow the people of the world to be protected from each other. You see, the concept of respect, to respect one, is to not impose your will upon another human being. Animals, who cares about animals? Like, they're not human. As long as we are human, since we cannot survive without each other, and we would not be here without each other. Though the same can be said for animals, the earth. That is why we must protect all of these things. But humans, we are equal, so we cannot impose our will upon any other human. You can say whatever you want to say about it. You can say, well, I'm imposing my will upon this human because, I don't know, maybe I'm imposing my will on this other human because I think that it is the right thing to do. Or do they think that it is the right thing to do? For that is compromise. Compromise involves everyone in the interaction compromising. It is not compromise if one person does something and the other person does not agree with it. It is only compromise when all parties compromise. And I don't like to use the term parties. I think those are the same things as gangs. I would say when all in the interaction, all who are in the interaction, when all who are in the interaction agree, then that is true compromise. There might not even be a give and take situation. It's still compromise. You see, as an example, if you were to find a chicken, not the farmer's chicken, I mean, wherever you found the chicken, it's a chicken, it's an animal, and you think that it is good to eat, you should bring it to your whole family, and you all should decide together. You can state your case. Maybe you all agree that you should be the one to eat it by yourself. Maybe you all agree that it should be split into however many pieces the family has as individuals. Or maybe you should agree that it should be, half of it should be eaten now and half of it should be eaten later. The point is that I'm trying to make that compromise involves everyone, every human, and you should never impose your will upon another human. And that is why all of the empires and all of the oligarchies and all of Akatsuki and Madara himself must be stopped. For one man should never control the world. That would be a disgusting place. And yet it is moving in that direction. For it may not be one man. Madara may never have ever existed. Or he may have. He may still be alive. It does not matter. The point is that the less number of people that are controlling the vast majority of the people, the more disgusting this world is. Because every single one of us has a unique perspective out on the world. Some of us are rapists, some of us are child molesters, some of us are none of those two things, which I despise greatly. And you can imagine anything you want. A person can be an artist, a musician, a politicrat, whatever the hell that is. Maybe a prophet, like Ron Paul. But the thing is that while I would say everyone is different, it is that fact, and it is almost irrelevant when it comes to compromise. For even if we were all the same, we should still compromise, because if we're all the same and we compromise, then there's really no compromise. But it is compromise because it is all agreeing, and if we never differed in the first place, well, isn't that just crazy? Even though all of us are different, we still should compromise, because we all bring something unique to the table, and no person should be able to mandate anything. No government, I don't even think governments should be created, but no government should mandate anything upon its people. Its people. For the people create the government, or they should. The government should not impose anything on the people. I mean, voting is kind of silly, right? Voting with a ballot box. You have to sign this to state that you own land, or you're a state, or you're a legal citizen, you're not the criminal. Criminals in this criminals, what the hell does that even mean? I should say people that are convicted by the government to be criminals aren't even allowed to vote. Well, that's not a democracy. Even a rapist should be allowed his opinion, his vote, as long as he does not impose his will on another human being, say raping another person or molesting another person. Then he should be allowed to speak his mind if he wants to talk about whatever. Hell, even gay people should be allowed to speak their mind, because truth should never be blocked. And because we all have the same world, we should all engage in conversation. And if someone has something to say, it should be said. There should be no lying, no holding back. It should all be a compromise. It should all be a conversation. So when you see this state healthcare system that our current president is trying to mandate, I mean, what the hell is that about, right? That he says that he is trying to mandate this so that all the kids will be healthy and insured. The thing is, what I will go back to, is that it doesn't matter what your reason is for mandating. It does not matter what your reason is for imposing your will on others. You should never impose your will on others, because it can start out as a reason of good, and then it can change into a reason of evil. See, like, this is gonna sound crazy, but you should look it up if you don't believe me. You should look it up anyway, yeah? So, there are, what I'm going to talk about, very briefly, these mosquitoes. So, these scientists, I really haven't read into it enough to say if they're mandated by the government or sponsored by whoever. I mean, scientists are cool. I like scientists. I mean, scientists are humans, so you have some that are, quote, evil, some that are, quote, non. But you see, there should be pure evil, not evil that is promoted by greed, by this form, this illusion we call money. Money, that's just an illusion that humans make. Like, there's no real such thing. Like, what the fuck is money? No other organism on earth deals with this imaginary thing called money. And I'm not saying that we should well, yeah, I'm saying that because we all live together, humans, plants, animals, and if we want to separate ourselves from other organisms, we are humans. That is true enough, yeah? Doesn't matter what language you're speaking. You can translate the word human in almost every language. Some languages don't have the word for human because they, for some reason, don't need it. Obviously they don't need it because they've survived this long in their civilization to not have the word, so obviously they don't need it. But what I'm saying is, getting besides the point of human, we all know what human is, even if we don't have a word for it, or we try to use a different language to describe human. You see, the thing is, we should never impose our will. You see, what is that? Oh yeah, these mosquitoes with these scientists. I mean, this is just a speck in the world of an empire. Yes, empires are great when it comes to developing science. The Nazis were great in developing science. The Russians were great in crossbreeding animals. I'm not going to get to that in this video. It's pretty sick. And the Americans are great in observations. The internet is the most greatest thing that, I know that's not correct grammar, the internet is the most greatest thing that our government has ever created. But the thing is, even evil makes mistakes, and we must capitalize on those mistakes. We must do this in order to correct things in this world and create good again. We must protect what is natural, what is sacred. We must protect the Native Americans in South America. We must protect the Todzikris, Todzikreni in Tajikistan. We must protect these people because they are part of life, and if we allow them to be raped, like in Afghanistan, when we allow our so-called soldiers, these dogs, these stupid idiots that go over there for I don't know, they're kids, you cannot blame them, right? But they go over there and they're forced to do this because they're under contract, and no one, it's all secret, so no one can speak out about it, right? No, there should be no secrets. This is the art of conversation. This is why we have survived so long. There should be no lies. It's all about compromise. We should compromise. Sorta. I see. So, I mean, yeah. So I don't want to waste your time. You know, sometimes it can seem like I'm rambling, I guess. But you should be able to find truth, even in lies. I'm not lying right now, I'm just saying. So yeah. Yeah, and big ups to Ron Paul. Remember to vote for him. If you have to register Republican, to do so in the primaries, because we want to make sure that he gets through the primaries. There are lots of people that want him crushed in a number of ways, many ways. And like Jesus, the great prophet Jesus, no, he is not a god, he is a prophet, and he is human, but he spoke out, and we should have never crushed him. But I don't believe that it was the people who killed Jesus. It was an empire who crucified him, like they crucified every other person that spoke out against the government. And you know what? We cannot allow the government to call us terrorists, you know? We cannot allow, I know that they're trying to make Anonymous into a terrorist group. I mean, they can't really make it into a terrorist group, but they can call it a terrorist group, right? And even though we do not answer, even though Anonymous does not answer to it being a terrorist group, yeah, but you know, if you citizens allow this to happen, if you sit back and you allow others to take care of you, it doesn't matter if they're doing it for good or if they are doing it for evil. You should never allow people. You are worthless if you allow others to take care of you, and yet you claim to be independent. Yet you claim to be free. You don't know the definition of freedom, yeah? No, Ara, you don't know. Freedom is to not be imposed on by anyone else. That is freedom. And freedom is only a human thing. We don't use the word freedom for animals or plants because we can impose our will upon them. With repercussions, yes, and we learn to not do such things. Like we're trying to make these genetically modified organisms, these GMOs, and then we make these plants that are supposed to grow in every fucking season. What the hell is that about? That is not God. That is our hand in that. And we are not perfect. We are nowhere near as perfect as God. And all of his produces, his the rule, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. And vote for Ron Paul. If you have to vote Republican to do it, it doesn't matter. You can change your affiliation if you so do so for president, but vote for Ron Paul. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, message me. I will let you see through my eyes. I will give you proof. I will let you see humanity. Okay? Alright, bye.